Hello, and welcome to another episode of Brettcast Anime Talk. The Mobile Suit Gundam franchise is a favorite one of mine since I have watched a lot of the various anime, the OVAs, and the movies. However, I've never really talked about many of them in the same way I have like Ultraman recently, or I guess any of the movies that I've covered. And that's mostly because Mobile Suit Gundam's animes are 50 episodes long, which never really works for my format because when I watch a TV show or an anime, I like to talk about the whole thing, and that usually works best with ones that are 6 to 10 episodes long, or just movies in general. Also, like a lot of the things I want to and like to watch, this one took me a while to get to. I mean, it came out in 21, and it's 2022. But I have finally gotten around to watching Mobile Suit Gundam Hathaway, and now I'm going to talk about it. Remember, there will be spoilers. Before I get into my opinion on this movie, let me take you through the plot. We begin with several folks that are dressed all fancy on some sort of really fancy ship, and the people are talking about some guy named Mafty who is claiming to be Char Aznable Reborn because, every antagonist in the UC timeline has to say that they're Char Aznable Reborn. We get a really beautiful sequence of the ship entering the Earth's atmosphere, and it's really nice with all the music and everything. But things don't stay nice because a group of bad guys board this fancy ship and they start shooting up the place. One of the guys claims to be Mafty, and they take everyone hostage with a plan to ransom everyone off. They shoot one guy for asking too many questions, and some woman and kid for being too noisy. But then, who I assume is Hathaway, springs into action when this mysterious woman named Gigi sort of tells him with like her mind or whatever to attack. And he, along with the captain of this ship, kill all the Mafty guys on board. He tells the captain that he is Hathaway Noah. Then some guys ask him to give a statement about what happened, but then he sees Gigi, and so the two sit and talk. One of the guys in the airport says Hathaway is related to Bright Noah, who I remember briefly from the Gundam Unicorn anime. Anyway, after the conversation with Gigi, Hathaway gives his statement to the others, and then he and Gigi get in a car that is taking him to their hotel since they're staying in the same hotel. And then Gigi basically convinces Hathaway to stay in the same room as her because she doesn't want to be alone in such a big room, and he agrees. Hathaway goes and meets up with some folks that talk about Mafty, the Earth Federation, and some sort of new model of mobile suit that the Federation has. Hathaway goes back to his room to eat while Gigi and Federation captain guy from earlier goes out to a club, or so I assume. Hathaway talks to himself about Char's rebellion, which he was a part of, and then he falls asleep. Then some Mafty guys show up in two messers to target the hotels where all these officials are staying. Hathaway wakes up, grabs Gigi, and they get into an elevator that on the way down, the power cuts out. They get out, they run, see a mobile suit get deployed, which Hathaway assumes is supposedly the new model. A fight breaks out between this supposed new mobile suit and the guys in the messers. The fight goes to the ground as the two messers land, and two mobile suits that look like Jestas, but I can't really tell, land and keep fighting. The messers get defeated, and several guys land to clean up the battle, I guess. And then Gigi and Hathaway meet up with Federation Captain Guy. And then we get introduced to the Penelope, the Gundam that Captain Guy ordered to be sent to him. Hathaway joins Gigi on the ship, and then we get to see some daytime cleanup. Hathaway, Gigi, and Federation Captain Guy meet up, and Captain Guy basically asks Gigi to sleep with him, which is totally weird. And the only reason he does is because he thinks that Gigi is some sort of good luck charm for him. Hathaway has a meeting with the Bureau of Investigation, and then Federation Captain mentions wishing that Hathaway would join his unit because he would happily let Hathaway pilot the Penelope, but Hathaway doesn't want to. Hathaway goes to an airport, which is when some Mafty broadcast happens, but no one really cares. Hathaway goes to a beach, gets on a rowboat, which links up with a motorboat full of people that Hathaway knows. Cut back to Captain Guy having a conversation with Gigi, who reveals that she ended up where she is on referral of some count, and that she's just there to move into some apartment in Hong Kong that this count bought for her. She's about to leave, but then Federation Captain Guy doesn't want her to leave. Go back to Hathaway, and it turns out that he's on Mafty's side and is going to join them. The Federation takes their Mafty prisoner, throws him on the Penelope with its pilot so they can use him as a hostage more or less. And then they use a messer and get Hathaway onto some vessel, and that's when we realize that Hathaway Noah is, I think, not his real name. No, wait. It is his real name. He's just playing the part of whoever Mafty is, like the main guy. The Penelope intercepts where Hathaway is, and then that's when Hathaway comes out in another Gundam, the Suit Gundam, and fights against the Penelope, and the two fight it out. Hathaway's able to retrieve the Mafty hostage, which is good, and then the two continue to fight until Hathaway sinks the Penelope in the ocean. Hathaway returns to the Mafty base with the Suit Gundam. I guess he's still called Hathaway, but he just plays the role of Mafty, as I said. Anyway, he returns with the Suit, and everyone there is happy. The movie is pretty much over from there, and it definitely leaves things open for another movie or some sort of continuation to the story. So what did I think of Mobile Suit Gundam Hathaway? The first thing I want to say is that they don't do a good job in keeping Hathaway's reveal of being a part of Mafty much of a twist. Like, as soon as he starts thinking back to being a part of Char's rebellion, I'm able to quickly realize that Hathaway is not on the side of the Federation. It's especially clear when he is out with those two people, and we see how the Federation is treating people, and that the cab driver says to Hathaway that Mafty should do something about this. And sure, Hathaway doesn't agree or disagree with that, but it's clear in that moment that Hathaway is not on the side of the Federation. Even the captain guy in the Federation eventually realizes that Hathaway is not on their side. I mean, could you have imagined if Federation captain guy just let Hathaway have the Penelope and basically let Mafty have two Gundams? That would be fucking crazy. Something to critique about this particular movie is that all of the fight scenes were too dark because all of them were at night. I don't like that. I really don't, because aside from the Penelope and the Suit Gundam, there were other mobile suits in both of the fights that take place, but they were too dark for me to be able to see what they were. Like I said earlier, I think they were Jesta, but maybe they were Gustav Karl's, because one guy earlier in the movie mentions the Federation having those, but I don't really know, because the fight scenes are too dark and I couldn't see anything really. I also don't like Gigi. You see her do the one thing to Hathaway in the beginning of the movie, and she apparently is able to like sense him according to Federation Captain Guy, or sense like what he's saying or something. But that's it. That's all she does. Two things. She does two things. Otherwise, she feels really unimportant and only there because Captain Guy wants to sleep with her, and Hathaway Noah just wants her to fuck off, basically. She just doesn't seem all that important to me. There was a moment in the first battle scene when Mafty is launching their messers, and this rock song starts playing, and I just feel like that song didn't fit with the movie at all, because they don't use any rock songs throughout the rest of the movie, and it makes the song stick out, but not in a good way if you ask me. Also, I personally don't like the designs of the two Gundams in the movie, the Penelope and the Cassie. Like, I do enjoy a nice bulky mobile suit from time to time, but those two are too much with the giant armor and everything else. I'm just not a fan of it. Overall, this was not a bad movie, and it definitely sets things up for a continuation to come of this story, which it does a good job at least of setting that part up. If I'm honest, I personally don't think that Hathaway's movie here was better than the Gundam narrative movie, which was the last Gundam movie that I watched. Mobile Suit Gundam Hathaway is an average anime movie. That's all I have to say, so if you're out of the conversation, leave a comment below. As always, thanks for listening, and goodbye.